Hey, welcome to the Razzle Dazzle Show, a podcast where we talk about our favorite video games and all things pop culture with an emphasis on our favorites. We're hosts Jared, Mauro, and Chaz.
Hey, my name is Mauro. This is my voice. This is Mauro's voice that is attached to Mauro.
Hello, welcome. I am one of the great members of the Weeb Nation, and I hope you guys enjoy your time here.
Today's episode is on Young Justice. Young Justice is an American superhero animated TV series based on the comic book series of the same name. Please let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at Raz-Show Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. And with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! So you've seen the first two seasons, you just didn't want to rewatch them.
No,
now, right?
So
yeah.
The best way to describe how I remember the first two seasons is obviously you have the team get together. It was Aqualad, Speedy, Kid Flash, and I feel like I'm missing one more person out of the group.
Robin?
Yeah, there you go, Robin. Hi, Dad. And it was them
The
leader. You know, that's a topic for later. I also put that in my notes for something we need to talk about. Me and Jared already started. We're going to recap that with you because I hope you feel the same way I did.
I mean, please do. But before that, hold on. I just want to I want to get something. Please put a pin on that. So you've only seen seasons 1 and 2, right?
Who, me? No, I just watched 3 and 4 as well.
Oh, you just watched 3 and 4. Okay. And what about you, Jared?
Seen it all.
Seen it all? Okay. So I have seen 1, 2, and 3. I watched a bit of 4, and for reasons that I will get into later, I did not finish 4.
That is fine. 4, to me, season 4 did get through a relative rough patch to get through. Because it lost my interest for a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Look, I did not finish season 4. I have a lot of love for Young Justice. It is one of my comfort shows, believe it or not, and it is something that I remember fondly. But even saying that, it felt like there was every season that I went to had a bigger problem and a bigger problem. And even already by season 3, I was forcing myself through it. And I told myself, I'm not even going to watch season 4. I gave season 4 a shot. Didn't really jive with me. I was going to watch it for this, but I was getting my arguments together. That's what I was. So, I didn't really get a chance to.
It's fine. I think, you was part of the conversation. We spoke about it in the chat with how season 3 and 4 it didn't feel like Young Justice. It felt like entirely different from what we originally watched growing up. Now, it could have been our mindsets.
I don't believe so. Here's my main issue, right? Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people. I personally know some people that love the show throughout, and I know a lot of people that have issues with it, and they're all different issues. My problem with the show is that if you compare what it is now to what it used to be back in season 1, it feels a lot less focused.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 had a tight-knit cast of characters. You knew who the main characters were, and we had a lot of chance to explore their individual character arcs, their relationships with each other, and their relationships with their mentors. And that seemed really cool. I loved that. I loved that it was that we got to see Robin, Dick Grayson Robin. I mean, how often do you see him? Usually whenever a DC product comes out, they try to be as current as possible. Dick Grayson's already Nightwing, and he has been for years. And the current Robin is usually either Tim Drake or
Damian,
yes.
At least since Batman the Animated Series, I think.
At least, right. Yeah. Batman the Animated Series did have Dick Grayson, and look at the shift. Look at the giant gap between Batman animated media that has come out and, Dick Grayson. I love early Batman. I love Dick Grayson as Nightwing, but it was fresh. It was a nice little. And I genuinely got to know these characters. The reason that I continued with the show is because these characters felt real to me. These characters, their issues, I wanted to see them resolved. And something that I lament is how many of the things that were set up in the first season were resolved off screen.
Yeah, that's a reoccurring thing for each season because there's there's at least a big time skip between the seasons. When I first saw this show coming out and stuff, I just saw it as it's a more mature version of Teen Titans. So Teen Titans is, it's of course Dick Grayson Robin, but with these other characters that are not sidekicks of like the Justice League members. Here we get a version of the Teen Titans that include the
proteges.
Include the sidekicks, proteges of the Justice League members. I guess
we are not sidekicks.
Yeah, right. And then that becomes a whole bit throughout the first season. If I remember correctly, the original iteration of the Teen Titans included Robin, Dick Grayson, Aqualad, and Kid Flash.
Wasn't Terra part of that list too, or am I mistaken?
Terra came later. She was
what? Terra became leader of the Teen Titans?
No. Oh. Terra came later. Later.
Yes, I'm sorry, I misheard.
No. Terra actually became leader of the Justice League. No.
No. We leave that to Black Lightning.
You're right. Yeah, right. No, you're correct. There was Dick Grayson, Robin, Starfire.
Yeah, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Raven.
Flash. Yeah. Well, in the
original,
I think. Yeah. In the original ones, that was the show. I don't know if Raven was there from the beginning. She might have been, but I also know that they had man. Who do I keep? There's somebody I'm forgetting.
Wonder Girl.
Wonder Girl. Yes. Wonder Girl. She was like pivotal to the original.
Yeah.
Cast. I understand why they kept her out of Teen Titans though, because Teen Titans didn't really do a lot with the masters, or not the masters, but the mentors of the proteges.
Yeah, the original team consisted of Robin, Dick Grayson, Kid Flash, Wally West, Aqualad, Garth, Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, Speedy, Roy, Harper, Lilith/Omen, Lilith Clay, Hawk, Dove, Guardian, Aquagirl, Narc, Joker's daughter, Harlequin, okay, Bumblebee, and Flamebird. That's the original lineup.
All right, I'm hoping you.
Jesus.
I know it's not who I'm going to say this is, but for comedic reasons in my head, all I thought was the Transformer.
The Transformer? Wait, who?
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
I just looked at all over, and I was just like random Transformer just thrown in there.
Yo, DC might. Did you guys have seen the Batman and Ninja Turtles crossover, right?
Heck yeah. Loved it.
They also did one with Fables, Big B Wolf. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
No.
Well, I'll bring that one up later, but let's focus on Young Justice, because I was on the time skip after season 1. Season 1 I loved for all of those reasons. I'm sure everybody here agrees, right? I mean, that's the season.
Season 1 is like the foundation of everything. We get to meet these characters. Like the biggest appeal and the most positive thing I can say about season 1 is the focus of these sidekicks, these like the people who we see really get explored. Like it's what, 6 people? 6? There's 6 of them only?
I think so. Yeah. Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad, Megan,
Artemis,
and
did you say Superboy?
Superboy, and Superboy.
I don't like technically. Hear me out. Does Miss Martian and Superboy really count since they weren't there? Like doing like
they're part of the original season 1. They're part of the original season 1 crew, but you're right.
They're adopted.
The original Teen Titans are just Robin, Superboy, Kid Flash, and who else broke into Cadmus with them?
Aqualad.
And Aqualad. Oh my God, Garth. Yeah, technically it's just those 4, and then afterwards, the rest.
Just started.
The nieces started coming in. No, you're right. Actually, not even Superboy. Sorry.
Yeah, the only I think this might be like a general problem with the show itself.
Go ahead.
Something I mentioned through text when we were watching this like the past couple of weeks. A good thing that the show tries to do in all 4 seasons is cover like big mature topics. Big as I mean as important topics that we don't really see in like animation shows, especially like a superhero show, right? So we deal with like racism, religion, discrimination, human trafficking, and like
it can get dark.
A lot of conspiracy stuff, right? And that's like that can be seen as a positive for like a more mature show for like these more mature like story things or whatever, right? Like this show came out in 2010. We were 10, we were 11. We are the target demographic for this show. We grew up with the show, so therefore we also grew up with these characters. But with all these big conspiracy stuff like the light and stuff like that, I think the show can get lost in its own sauce when it comes to like pulling all these different things and somehow tying them together. And I'm not just talking about season to season, but I'm just saying like in an overall view of all 4 seasons, like, you know, the light is a constant underlying threat since season 1. Like season 1, that's like the main big deal, but like season 1, season 2 and so forth, it kind of gets pushed down, like thanks to the Reach, and then thanks to Apocalypse stuff and so on and so forth, but still trying to make it like a connected world, even though it is like, that's also a positive of the show. Like it feels lived in. All the actions from like one episode carries over to the next, and especially season to season. It's just I think like for it trying to be complicated, it might end up doing too much, I think, looking back on it.
I mean, I completely agree. That is something that I've noticed. Not so much in season 1, but as the seasons progressed, that became a bigger issue. They introduced new characters, they introduced new plots, they started moving in a lot of directions. The ambition grew, and those aren't bad things per se, but I feel like starting in season 3, at least for me, I felt like they had a hard time juggling all of those things. The reason why I loved season 1 was because I said, you know, it had individual time to explore these individual characters and their relationships with each other and their mentors. By season 2, I already started noticing that to falter a little bit. We had a new cast, right? I mean, I'll talk about the time skip in a second, but we had the same cast, right? But they were in different places. And we had a whole new cast of younger members that, you know, we had to kind of explore and, you know, talk about and stuff. And I feel like a lot of the exploration of, you know, intrapersonal drama and talking and relationship building and stuff was still there, but just at a smaller scale. Then you move on to season 3 and it's almost completely gone. You have so many new plot points. Every other episode, a new thread gets, you know, brought in. Every other episode, it's a new character with a new backstory, and it devotes so much time. Like the first half is devoted to, I believe, Brion and Halo and Forager, and then halfway through that, you come in with Beast Cyborg, and it's a lot of these characters, and then halfway through, right, Beast Boy, he becomes the center. And then he starts going on with the whole the Outsiders thing. Halfway through the season, the title suddenly comes into play. And then on top of that, you're also like from the very beginning of the season, you were dealing with Batman leaving him and a couple of people leaving the Justice League. And then that doesn't really come into play again until so much later. Yeah. And I felt like it's trying to juggle. And then on top of that, you have Vandal Savage and Granny Goodness and Darkseid.
Yep.
In the background. It's just it felt like too much. It felt like so much was going on that it was a little unfocused, and I personally didn't see a lot of personal character growth, individual character, I guess, development. Yeah. I mean, who even is Tim Drake in this show? Who even is Static Shock? Who even is Wonder Girl? Like, I don't know these characters in the show. I know their names. Yeah. That's it.
And that's something that the first season gets right. The overarching plot or whatever for season 1 is this new group of the team, which also I hate the name. That is just the team.
The team. They could have called them the Teen Titans or something, dude. They could have.
No, that was taken, but this is different. Anyways, like
just
like,
call them like that.
Right? The entire like overarching arc. Yes, English. We're doing great. Is related to the growth of these characters, these sidekicks, how they deal with each other and like uncover a conspiracy with the light, right? That's like the main big thing. They have their own like specific story moments like within, like Calderon has his own thing in Poseidonus, and Dick has his own thing. They have individual stories, but they can connect and weave into each other pretty well, whereas everything else following up, not so much. I personally love season 2. But Chaz, what do you have to say about all this so far?
I can't like season 2. I'm so sorry. I take it personally.
Look.
I love the fact that I love that Blue Beetle was in the show, and it's just how to describe. I cannot hear. I can say I like season 2 up to like I think it was the second last or the last episode where we lost Wally. Let me tell you the show.
Oh my God. Okay.
I tell you, I cannot let that go. That
cannot be the only reason. We're all sad about Wally, but that cannot be the only reason you dislike the entire season.
Traumatized. You have no understanding. Speedsters are my favorite.
It's been years.
It's been what? It's 2024. That season came out in 2012.
2012, yeah.
12 years later, I'm going to hold this grudge. But I do agree with you guys very much that
do we think he's coming back?
They teased the out of me in season 4. Let me tell you.
Yes.
Because so he has been. Yes, he has showed up in season 3 and he has showed up in season 4. Technically speaking, not our Wally that we lost, but it is. The whole time travel thing. But, I totally forgot about the whole magic thing they did with, Tigers, Zatanna, and I can't remember who the other 2 were. Do you remember that at all in season 3? Or was that?
Yeah, it was with Rocket and Miss Martian as well.
There you go. Where they gave the illusion of Wally saying his goodbyes. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you how I was crying, and then they said it was an illusion, and then I lost my shit. I was like,
yeah,
you fooled me too, you son of a bitch.
That felt like adding insult to injury. Like, you're aware that your fans have this really big gaping hole in their heart for Wally, and you kind of give them, without backtracking, you give them some closure. And then in that same breath, you just say, psych, never mind. Yeah. Was not real. It's AI.
Like, best way to describe how I felt for that scene. Have you guys, quick off topic, have you guys seen Twilight Breaking Down Part 2?
Dang it, that's the only one I haven't seen.
Are you being serious, though?
No, I've only seen the first Twilight movie.
Do you care for spoils?
I do not care.
All right, that whole movie was a lie.
What?
That's literally the best way to put it. Like, you lead up to this nice big event, then the big event happens, people start dropping left and right, and then snap, it was a lie. And it was just like,
What is that?
I accept.
Wait, okay. So, for the people listening, I'm recording in my friend's recording studio, and he has a cup with Jacob from Twilight when he had the long hair, and it says, "Bella, where the hell have you been?" Look, but it's like very poorly edited in, and I just flashed it to the camera.
So how is this connecting with feeling the losing Wally was?
It was the whole, you gave me closure, and then closure was a lie. That's literally how I felt. Yeah. But overall, I agree with you guys. Season 1 and season 2 was more based on the original team, they going through their character developments. Then when watching season 3 and 4, there was so many political things going on.
Yeah.
Even with light behind the scene and Vandal Savage, like you said. And then we get all the new characters. It was Static Shock, and
which was cool to see.
It was nice to see. Would have been nice.
I'm pretty sure season 2 is when Static got introduced.
Yes, yeah. He got introduced with Tim Drake and
But you saw no build up for him.
Right.
No. That's right. That's one of their flaws.
Then what was it? The whole, I forgot, the covert team that they had going on, yes. And you found out more members of the covert team, like Orphan. Mm-hmm. Orphan was somebody I would have loved to get a full backstory on.
Apparently that's Cassandra Cain.
I just work
somehow.
Here.
I just work here. Look, the covert, as much as I will admit there are issues with the way they balanced the covert team and stuff in season 2, that was actually one of my favorite aspects of season 2. And let me tell you why. In season 1, you had a very strong scene with Dick and Wally, where Dick is talking about how he doesn't want to end up as Batman. He doesn't want to grow up and to be like Batman, where with the deceit and the playing with people's emotions, and essentially this whole the mission comes before anything else. He wants to be a human. He doesn't want to end up like Bruce. And then
that's wild.
Here you go. here we go, five years later, and he's exactly that.
Yeah.
He's lying to his teammates. He's causing pain to the people who believe that Artemis died.
Yeah.
He's spearheading this entire covert operation because at the end of the day, it's for the greater good. You know, he's got Calder infiltrating the light and all that stuff. But it was thematically good, and I enjoyed every single time that team was there, because you see how they've grown, you see how they've regressed, you get a little bit of their back and forth, and the scene with Wally and Dick arguing because Artemis is undercover and the base blew up, and it's just and alive, right? All of that was so powerful, and that was so good, and I missed that. I missed that during the season, so I got really excited when I saw those parts, and those are my favorite parts of Young Justice. But I still felt like that whole covert operation situation was a little overshadowed by the rest. There was a lot of new dynamics. There were a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and I felt like it lost its identity a little bit. It was trying to be very ambitious, and I just wish that maybe certain characters like Blue Beetle and Impulse and
Beast Boy,
yes, they were very well developed in season 2.
Yeah.
And I felt like all of these characters plus the original team would have gotten a lot more development and a lot more screen time if they just kind of shortened their scope a little bit. Instead, we got amazing character scenes. Like, I'm sorry, Chaz, I'm very sorry. When Wally died, that was one of the most emotional.
There's a block button somewhere around here.
That was very emotional, and I felt like I lost somebody that I knew. I felt like I lost a friend.
And that's great storytelling.
It was great storytelling. It was amazing, but then it was also kind of underscored with this little, well, they have to keep going, and then Barry, who's supposed to be his mentor, you don't really see him dealing with it a whole lot, and it felt very, very kind of rushed towards the end. And I don't know, like that's
it's the Flash.
It's It's like, okay, let me go grieve real quick. Okay, I'm done. And all of these problems just get exemplified as the series goes on, in my opinion. Season 3 took the worst of season 2, in my opinion, and then just kind of blew it up, dialed it to 11.
The reason why I like season 2, like I said, I'm biased because Blue Beetle is my favorite DC superhero, Jaime Reyes specifically, of course. But the reason why I think season 1 and 2 fare better, I like them better, is because there's a clear threat that needs to be taken down. So for season 1 is the light. Okay, that's a clear, goal in terms of like the watcher, the viewer, to be like, okay, all of this is going to lead up to them taking down the light. Great. See, same thing with season 2, Invasion. All this is going to lead up to once the Reach gets introduced, and like once we learn more about the Blue Beetle Scarab and all that stuff, the Reach, that's the main thread of this season. All of this is just preparing for that. All that makes sense. Like, I do love it when done right. Little seeds, little, when you plant little things in your story to then come and culminate into like a big arching threat. You know what I mean? So like in early in the season, absolutely. There's like these, what are they called? These other type of aliens, Apoplexians or whatever. Like they're already on Earth. Lobo's like hunting one of them. That's when we get to see like the first one, this and that, Blue Beetle. That's an alien, we get to see all these different seeds being planted early, and then we get to see like, oh, this is where it climaxes. Great. Love it. I love it when it's done right. Same thing with season 1. But yeah, when, season 3 and 4, it like you guys are saying, it lost its focus. Like, for season 3, The Outsiders, at first I thought it was only about meta-human trafficking, because that's an important topic to discuss. Like, human trafficking, that's not something discussed in media all that much, or hardly ever. And Young Justice is taking that on they
found a really natural way to introduce it into the series.
Yeah, but like it just ends up becoming, Apocalypse are abducting these metahumans to build an army. I think I'm still not even clear about it.
It's very that's where its loss of focus shines, because I wouldn't blame you for thinking that the whole season was going to be about metahuman trafficking. That's the first episode is very heavy on that. You got them fighting the metahumans on another planet.
You have the red tape that like is being put on the Justice League by governments and stuff like that.
I love how like these like small in relative to like the overarching show and seasons, how these small things really affect and impact like these characters, like for all the seasons, and like Lightning killing that one kid. I thought that was like great to see. It's like, no, it's not great that Black Lightning killed a kid, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah, his guilt. He runs with that guilt throughout the entire season, and then he actually does have a really good like fix to that. It's a complete character arc for Black Lightning.
These characters grow. That's a big positive throughout the entire show. These characters grow as we proceed. But yeah, with the Outsiders, it just becomes weird. And like, I think the whole meta human trafficking thing is just an excuse to have Halo be a character. I think like, as we get further into the show, I just feel like all these big plot devices are just an excuse to introduce a new character. And like, that could be, I'm sure the comics do that all the time, but like, again, when done right, like, this is how we get Terra, that's, I mean, cool. Yes. Origin story, kinda, but it doesn't, I don't think season 3 did it well. And something that I think I'm just overexposed to, maybe because recently I've just been on a DC binge lately, or just because I'm just sick of the story. I'm just tired of Apocalypse and New Genesis, New Gods, Granny Goodness. I don't like these characters. Darkseid, I'm there. I'm always here for Justice League Darkseid stuff, Superman Darkseid stuff, like that shit. Awesome, love it. But then when it comes to like all these like things that come along with it, the New Gods, the New Genesis, the kids of Darkseid or whatever the hell they are, like I don't care about them, and I haven't seen a show that's made me care about them. The Justice League animated series and Justice League Unlimited, they don't focus all that much when it comes to these side apocalyptic characters. The main threat is Darkseid, and Darkseid is just he's just standing there the entire time in season 3 and 4, and like I get it, it's to build up for like
he doesn't say a single word. It's somebody else. But I think like I agree with you, but I think whoever the director was or whoever like idea it was, I think that was their way of like trying to portray to us how like how much a strong of an influence Darkseid has over people, and which like they did too much. But like, I do see where they was coming from with that idea.
Right.
And
I feel like it could have been executed better. Like, I agree with what you're saying. I just feel like it could have been executed better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to wait 2 seasons of just seeing him there. What did he do? Oh, he shook somebody's hand. He shook Vandal Savage's hand. There we go. You won't hear about him for another season. It's too dragged out, man.
Yeah, it's very long season, 26 episodes. Yeah.
Another thing you had said, they can focus on less things, and one of the things I was going to mention that they could have like focused less on is like the politics of the Outsiders versus Lex Luthor. That was, to me, that wasn't like entirely needed.
Okay, expand.
We could have used that like that amount of time for character development or introducing the new characters, because eventually once like Granny Goodness left and everything. Did you ever see anything about the Outsiders versus Lex Luthor again?
No.
It just stopped.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like a solid line, just stopped. And then it was like, no, we won, or Lex Luthor is like getting what he want, but like behind the scene, it was just new topic.
Mm-hmm.
But like not all the politics was bad. I like the fact that we finally got to go to Mars around the end of season 3, and we get to see how bad the racism was there.
That's true. That's season 4, the beginning of season 4.
That was the beginning of season 4?
I did see that arc. See that arc. We can talk about that. Yeah, with Superboy and Megan getting married.
The wedding. Because
the wedding.
You have the whole lose Superboy thing, and then Gar going through his thing. But I do like the fact that we went to Mars, and we got to see the reason they left, because all we hear is like, oh, racism was bad there, but this time they showed how bad it was to the point where the king was being killed. The brother has like a dark alliance, not dark alliance, but like alliance or allegiance to, who was it that he was making deals with. It was one of Darkseid's lackeys. The way he got the bomb and stuff. So it was showing like how far people were willing to go to either exterminate not entire, but like half a race because of like the racial conflict. I like that. If that was like probably the only politics in the show, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, for at least for season 4, for sure. Like I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna go deep here for like a while. Is this gonna lead up to like, Phantoms, right? Like the season's called Phantoms. Like, of course, that means the Phantom Zone. But no, I wish we got a bit more of that stuff on Mars. And what was the mini arc after that? The stuff with Artemis, Tigress, and her sister?
Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you that was something else we could have not focused on at all.
Yes. Like I understand like giving these characters closure, but like the next 3 episodes were all about that.
Yeah,
this is something that
I'm looking now.
No, go ahead.
No, you can continue. I'm looking now because I literally pulled up like the episode list to see how long it lasts, and it did last about 3 episodes.
Yeah.
See, this is why I stopped watching season 4, because for a second I had hope. I saw the Mars thing, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty tight knit. It's telling a story, and just like Jared, I thought that it was going to eventually lead up to the bigger Phantoms title, and I'm like, okay, they learned, and then immediately afterwards, just like that, they move on to a new topic. And I looked it up and I saw that season 4 is primarily composed of these like mini arcs. And I'm like, no. But Chaz, you're absolutely right. A lot of these characters did need closure, but you wouldn't need to be introducing this type of closure 3 seasons later. If you had just condensed what you needed to tell. You had 26 episodes per season, dude. You could have definitely cut back some of the extra unnecessary plots, some of the politics, a lot of like the Granny Goodness thing with the Outsiders versus Lex Luthor. If you wanted to make a season about the Outsiders, make a season about the Outsiders. Start from the beginning. Start about Beast Boy.
Only half of it was about the Outsiders.
Only half of it was about the Outsiders, and it's halfway. Like, it feels like that's not what that season should have even been about. Why even introduce that? You could have used all of that episode time to further develop the situation with Brion and Halo, and as well as the original team, or maybe develop characters like Artemis a little bit more, or Nightwing, or Superboy even. Superboy felt so stagnant in season 3 for me. But if you're going to go ahead and make a show, make a season about the Outsiders, make it about the Outsiders. The Outsiders were who in the beginning? It was Beast Boy, Static, Wonder Girl, Blue Beetle, and who else?
Impulse.
And Impulse, yes. The new Kid Flash.
Yeah.
Out of those 5 characters, I have no idea who Static Shock or Wonder Girl are.
Right. In terms of who these are in this universe.
Yes. Of who they are in this universe. I recognize the name.
Yeah.
And I recognize their character design, and that is it.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, Wonder Girl and Tim Drake had a relationship. What happened? Where did that come from? When did that start? I saw it finish. I saw the shadow of it, dude.
I'm pretty sure like it kind of started at the end of season 2. I vaguely remember that, but like again, they hinted at like they were having some problems. Oh, are we gonna like explore some like more relationship issues in this show?
It all happens off screen.
No,
it all happens off screen.
It does.
And then that's it. And that's the payoff. You see, you have a lot of these really interesting topics that you could delve into. They're already there, but instead you focus on introducing a bunch of new problems and new characters with their own plots, and you go forward from there while still not having fully explored the characters that you introduced last season.
And I think a good example of that is Geoforce, Halo, and Forager.
Yes, thank you for the Geoforce. I kept calling him Brion. I forgot his hero name.
It's like I like that they wanted to include these characters and like expand them, even because they're new or whatever, and they play a pivotal role in this season. Yeah, that's fine. But Geoforce's main goal is to save Terra, right? Halo,
yes.
Halo and Forager, they're just like, we don't have places to go for whatever reasons. But they spent like, it feels like 5 episodes just like them like adjusting and learning about their powers, training, getting acclimated to their new surroundings, and nothing really happens. And which I think is funny. Something that I think is funny about this season is for how long things get dragged out throughout the entire season. The word patience, have patience. You must have patience is preached throughout the entire season.
Nightwing was doing his job.
So was he telling Brion to be patient or telling us?
Meta-humans, meta-commentary. He was that was the producers preaching directly to us. I feel like they genuinely wanted to do something. I respect the scope of their ambition, but this could have been a cinematic universe. They could have had multiple shows. They could have had multiple movies. It lost focus so much, and it lost so much identity that right now I don't really know. Like, you say Young Justice, and I don't really know what we're talking about. The show. I mean, what's going on with the light? What's the big problem? Hey, what do you think is going to happen in Young Justice season 5? I have no idea. I don't know if Darkseid is finally going to make a move, or if he's just going to wait until all these characters are dead to make a move.
Yeah,
Darkseid is going to do what he usually does: stand there.
He might, maybe he might shake Vandal Savage's hand again. He might even give him a fist bump this time.
See, that's too much. That's too much, and I don't know if we can handle that as fans. Okay,
sorry, I'm asking for too much. I know.
Another thing I was going to mention is, like, you was talking about how season 3 was like dragged out, but then season 4 we had the mini arcs. Another mini arc I think we could have lost is the whole thing about Orin and Poseidonus with the whole
the Atlantis stuff.
Yeah, it was just like
it wasn't needed. Like that's it's the same with Tigers, same with Artemis. It's just like giving them closure, kind of. This, seeing how the events of everything else that's happened within the past 10 years has affected this character.
Who needed closure like that, though? Like, we've been doing everything else off scene. We can't say new Aquaman,
right?
New Aquaman went to Atlantis or Poseidonus because he needed some downtime and left it alone. I would have been cool. Just like, all right.
So important things like Batgirl getting shot, or Jason Todd dying, or Superboy and McGann breaking up. No, all that can happen off screen.
Not in this. Batgirl didn't get shot. She got slashed.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, we did. No, okay. To be fair, we got a flashback of that. Never mind.
Yeah. It was very quick, and it was Orphan who did it, and that was their way of giving us Orphan.
It wasn't the Joker. You're right. It was Orphan. See, that's the thing. There's so many things going on that even the most basic DC mythos that they change, they don't even devote actual time to it. They're changing these things, and they drop that information to you in passing.
Yeah, and like you were saying, they could have expanded upon this universe. There's so much shit to work with in this Young Justice cinematic animated universe, but they try to cram it all into like the same show, into the same seasons. It doesn't work. There's too many characters being introduced, like the Batman Inc. There's Orphan. There's Arrowette.
I love that. Batman Inc.
I don't want to be part of Batman Incorporated.
The only person we see like any type of like backstory of is Orphan, but the other people.
Another moment of an explosion of new characters, at least to me, because I've almost heard of none of these characters, when we went to the conference with Rocket for the New Gods.
Yeah.
And it was just like new character after new character after new character, and I'm just like, okay. Apparently we all been best friends with Superboy, but I don't fully remember you. Like, you probably showed your face once for 2 seconds. My bad. You got 2 seconds more of screen time than Darkseid. How dare I not remember you? But it was just like, why so much? And that was another whole thing on the, like, why did we need to know about the whole politics between the New Gods, the Martians, and Earth Justice League to introduce the Phantom? Why was all of that needed?
The Phantom wasn't barely played a big role either. That was
just the opening of all of that led to them opening a portal and then covering it, only for Zatanna to figure it out later.
Yeah, like I think it was cool how everything got tied together through Dick Grayson's detective work. I think that
was perfect. Right. That was perfect, but that was rushed too. They gave the man 24 hours, and then, like, obviously to us it's not 24 hours, but it was like in a matter of 10 minutes. Oh, this. All leads to Superboy.
And within that same few episodes,
Aquaman.
And within the same few episodes, this blue and red lantern, we've never seen this guy before.
Never. And I wish I had more, because I want to know why he's able to hold 2 rings.
Right?
As a person who is not like, I've never dove into like the Lantern Corps, like any of the Lantern Corps stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to dive into it, but I thought strictly forbidden, because I only ever seen people wear 1 ring. Only 1 ring was allowed. Now all of a sudden, this new character of this random race I never heard of is friends with what's his
Kilowog.
name? Kilowog. There we go. Him and Kilowog are like best of friends, but I heard of Kilowog, but not him.
I like being shown that there is history within this universe, but when the history doesn't have anything to do with the current story, why is it here? Because that guy did nothing. He didn't add anything to the overall story of season 4.
He said, I want to change my ring for a blue ring. I got a blue ring, but I can't do my job now. I want the red ring. I lied. I don't feel the same anymore. I'm going to just take both, if you don't mind. I'm going to build a statue of Fogger, not Fogger. Oh, wow. How dare I forget? Fred Bug and Fred Bug's girlfriend. Forgive me, I forgot their names that quickly. And then, like, the other people, which I did not care to look at. And then he just took off.
You know what was the only reason for that? I just figured it out. I just remembered. The only reason for this Lantern character is to be shown that, what's his name, Metron has a portal dimension, but like a pocket dimension for all of his stuff. So then when Lord Zod infiltrates that place, we're like, oh, remember this place? Remember? Because time travel?
Oh, pocket dimension. Oh, yeah. That way we can dabble into it, go get the Phantom Zone gun.
Did we really need like an explanation for that? Like we could have just...
I said we already knew what the place was.
We could have been told, hey, Metron has this pocket dimension that he goes to, and like we've set a tracker on this thing in this time period, or like, a few days ago, and now we're going to go there now. That's it. That could have been it. Could have been like 3 minutes of just telling us what you're doing and how you got here, and then progress. And again, the big thing about this season was supposed to be the Phantom Zone. That was only 2 or 3 episodes.
I got you. I got you. I can tell you when it started. It started technically in the producer's head. It started when Superboy died. In their heads, that's when it started.
I know.
I'm trying to look now. And when did we first catch a glimpse of Superboy
it's when
in the Phantom Zone?
That was happening.
Yeah, that was, I think, episode 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 20 is when we first started dabbling into the Phantom Zone.
Out of 26?
Yeah.
For a show that has such a big scope and tries to introduce so many things at once, so many plot points and characters and history, it really sucks at managing its time. And I say this with all the love, because I don't like the love that I have right now isn't even for the show anymore. It's for the characters that are forced to be a part of this show, because it genuinely did, bring its own spin to characters like Nightwing and Superboy and even Wally and even some of the members of the Justice League, dude. But overall, it really loses itself in how much it brings in, and it chooses to devote an absurd amount of time to things that overall don't really matter. Yeah. Stretches of episodes that could have been filled with something else, something more fulfilling, something more in line with the arc that they're trying to portray. I mean, like the only, season 2 forward, they started adding like subtitles to their title. It's like Young Justice Invasion, Young Justice Outsiders, Young Justice Phantom. The only one that made sense was Invasion. That's it.
Yeah. Because
there were like 3 invasions. There were 4. The many green people that were fighting the Reach. Then there was the Reach. Then Lobo came in.
Right.
Then there was that big red random guy that attacked the Hall of Justice.
Right.
That had nothing to do with any of the other invasions. But it was invasion. Makes sense. The Reach is invading. It makes sense. Outsiders. At first, I thought the Outsiders were Batman's team. I thought that's what the Outsiders were. No, only to find out like halfway through the season, it's actually this team that Beast Boy kind of sort of spent 5 episodes making. And then Phantoms, I've only seen the first arc, the first arc, but from what I'm hearing, it doesn't really like the Phantom Zone gets introduced 20 episodes in.
All you have to watch for Phantoms, for like the thing you want to watch it for,
20
is the Martian, like the Mars arc with the wedding stuff, and the last 5 episodes. That's all you need.
Okay, so I can go ahead and just watch the last 5 episodes now, and then I'll be caught up. Nice. You should never ever say that about a show.
No,
a show that is not where you want your fans to be going.
Yeah, and especially for a big named villain, Zod, General Zod.
Yes, dude. I love that Young Justice. I love that Young Justice can bring in all of these DC characters, these big names with very little constraints. I mean, I loved Teen Titans, but I hated that they couldn't really, like, Robin sort of alludes to Batman like twice, maybe, sort of. And I understand it's like, okay, I guess it's not about Batman, or Batman isn't, maybe they didn't have the rights to Batman. Young Justice, it looks like they have the rights to everybody. Yeah. It looks like they have rights to literally everybody. I mean, they called Shazam Captain Marvel in the first season, if I'm not mistaken. This was, dude, but then, like, it doesn't know what to do with these characters. It could definitely be an extended universe, an animated universe. I would not mind a show about the team, and then maybe afterwards a show about the Outsiders or all of these newer characters, or maybe after, like, maybe a show specifically dedicated to the Justice League to see what they're doing, why they're not really
in the 90s
involving themselves too much.
Yeah, in the 90s we had Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, Batman Beyond, the Zeta Project. I might be missing one.
Was the Green Lantern series part of that continued, or no? No? Okay, all right.
That's the 3D animated one?
No. There's a
two-dimensional Green Lantern one.
There was a 2D Green Lantern show.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, please do. But yes.
Right there. 7 different shows. 7 or 8 different shows that are in the same animated universe, and they mesh together well. There are plenty of crossovers between all of them.
Yes.
Especially Justice League.
Especially Justice League. And dude, like even the smaller shows, the more self-contained ones, I mean, Batman and Robin show up in Static Shock. That was amazing. And that's something that you don't even have to watch.
Show up in Static Shock.
You don't even have to watch the other shows to enjoy this, because there's only a 3D Green Lantern?
Yeah,
okay, then I'm
just thinking up for me. I could have sworn there was like a TV series of the 2D one, but I guess
you're probably just thinking of Justice League.
Yeah, probably. That's probably it.
I believe it.
But listen, this it can be done, and it was done. And the fact that you could watch these shows separately and still enjoy the crossovers, yet you can pick up a season of you can watch all of Young Justice from beginning to end and be confused within the same show. That is so tragic.
They have enough material to bring back that heyday of cartoon animations in 2010. Within these past 10 years, they could have done that, but they didn't. And they could have like movies too, with like bigger stuff or whatever. Back then they did. We got we got like 3 or 4 Batman animated series movies. We got the Batman Beyond movie. It's possible.
It didn't even have to be feature length. You could have released all these movies on HBO Max today. Yeah, like easy.
DC is also very known for like their animated films, as you know. Our cinematics are questionable unless Zack Snyder's in front of it. But you think like DC doing an animated film thing, that being their go-to, it would have been a lot better than what it was. And tell me if I'm wrong, but like I also feel like in the Young Justice, the first 2 seasons, it felt more like the proteges were trying to prove that they're worthy enough to being actually part of the league. But in season 3 or 4, it's like, we want nothing to do with the league.
Yep. Loss of identity.
That's it.
I was like, what?
Major loss of identity.
We went from like, I deserve to be on the podium with you when you guys opened up the hall that day, to the point where we're the outsiders, we're not part of the league for political reasons, and I just don't want to be part of you guys. And I didn't like that.
A lot of these problems I feel like could have been solved very early on. If I know some fans that have a problem with the 5-year time skip between seasons 1 and 2. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I definitely think that it's a they did okay with that, but they could have easily spent 5 seasons, 1 year per season of the team growing up. And you have enough time to flesh out all of these extra plots, all of these extra characters, introduce them. You have a season where you can devote your time to the light. You have another season where you can devote your time to whatever's going on with Darkseid and all those people. You have a season where you can bring in a new group of characters and you know, they can train and all that stuff. And you have a season with a couple of disillusioned team members that just break away from the team in the Justice League and do their own thing. And, you know, you don't have to cram all of that into one season. And that could have been fine. That could have worked perfectly. Instead, it's a lot of things that you want to see happening off screen or taking, you know, sharing the space with some other plots, and then plots that don't necessarily need to be seen, taking long stretches of episodes.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
And I had an idea that, you know, they could do for their next season, but they probably won't, because I don't know. I know Mauro did not see the end of season 4.
Yeah. Do you want to? Do you want to?
No, I mean, go ahead. Spoil it. Spoil it.
Okay, it's like the last clip. Let me see if I can pull up that last clip real quick. It'll get there like an entire team that was like leading to the next season.
Yeah, I haven't pulled up the list.
Oh, you have like the 5 people that was standing in front of Darkseid? Oh, it was 4. Oh, I messed it up. But it was Grandmother was back.
Yeah, Granny Goodness.
Granny Goodness. You also have Supergirl.
Then, hold on. Don't blow past that just yet. Mauro. Supergirl
is working for Darkseid right now.
Kara Zor-El with like the black suit, Zod emblem.
No.
Continue.
What?
And then it was, so you know how Shazam is a whole family thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole part that Mauro missed. You probably did see. I don't know. It was more the middle of the season. Yeah, it was more the middle of the season. All right. Oh yeah, there was a whole thing about the whole chaos and what was the name of the other group? That whole thing. We lost the female Shazam. I can't remember her name right now, and she's now working with Darkseid too. Cause
her superhero name is Sergeant, and she becomes Black Mary.
Yeah, because she didn't get kicked off the team. She left it because Zatanna
she wasn't on the team. She was just with Zatanna, and they were like,
that's their little team. That's what I mean.
Oh, gotcha.
Not part of like Young Justice. Oh my bad.
The group,
outsiders, or whatever they are right now. The team. But
that's part of the confusion of just having your main thing called the team. Like, come on, man, you could.
It could have just been called Young Justice. It's the name.
They teased it in season 3, but they're like, no, we don't like that name.
But Zatanna, she went and got a bunch of more proteges. It was the inside thought of like training them to be good enough in order for Dr. Fate to like rotate the helmet between all of them, because she wants to see her dad more than 1 hour a year, which is understandable. Manipulated the hell out of these kids.
I don't know. But if I was Kara, I would just take that bitch off whenever I want. And I'm like, sorry, dude, I'm not putting you back on.
The thing is that
we don't even need you anymore. It's 3 seasons in, we don't need you.
But the whole thing with the helmet, he has to agree to, like, you remember, he's in control of your body, so he has to agree to take off the helmet.
No, right. He agrees as long as it's only 1 hour a day, right? But in that hour, I would have just been like, I'm not putting you back, and that's it. I'm sorry. If I put you back, you're going to let me go, so I'm not putting you back. It's okay. Goodbye.
But the way the deal works is now, instead of her, but the other 2 proteges and Zatanna, and I forgot the dad's name, they're going to rotate the helmet like a week. So everybody gets 7 days with the helmet on.
Okay.
And I was like, that was a nice agreement. Don't know why we went through this whole chaos and lords of whatever. Not lords, what were they?
Because they needed an excuse for Zatanna to see, get a vision of Superboy in the Phantom Zone. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Oh, yeah, for that quick scene of her touching the bus just to see what the kids went through. Forgive me. All right.
I don't like that the Phantom Zone is there, but the Speed Force isn't, because they're not bringing Wally back now. What's up with that?
Oh yeah, you just okay. So you just brought back.
Chaz, speak. You've been wanting to this entire episode. You started. Just go ahead. All your feelings out. Come on.
So this would lead back to the whole Wally thing. I think it was in Justice League Unlimited. I could be wrong, but do you guys remember when Flash was fighting Brainiac Lex Luthor combination?
Yes.
So you remember, like, he just like absolutely lost it, ran so fast, and like he phased into the Speed Force thing, right?
Yep.
To me personally, this is just because I'm an overthinker. I got hope for Wally. Is that's what happened to Wally? Wally went into the Speed Force. So that's what I was hoping. Like, if we have people who can jump through dimensions and stuff, you know, maybe we might find Wally again. We brought Superboy back.
I don't want to rain on your. I genuinely don't want to rain on your parade. But didn't Wally phase out because he was too slow, not too fast?
Yes.
Also,
a huge. Too slow.
What was that? The fastest speedster is suddenly the slowest of the three? Why? In canon, in comics, Wally West is the fastest man alive. Faster than the Flash. Okay? Faster than Superman, faster than Impulse. Why was he the one? What, was he out of practice because he wasn't a superhero for 5 years?
So the way his origin, apparently, I'm assuming this is the origin they took for him, is that he forced the experiment, like we all know, right? But since the experiment was forced, and it didn't happen naturally, he did not get the full access to the Speed Force. We're not going to talk about the whole Flashpoint paradox, because we're not going to talk about how Barry got his powers in that one, but got full access back. But that was the reason he has a shortage compared to Barry and Bart. Bart was born with it. Honestly, if anybody's closer to the Speed Force, it should be Bart, technically speaking, since he was the only one.
Instead of having him join the Outsiders for some arbitrary reason and then also not doing anything for pretty much the entire season, they could have had him looking for Wally. They could have brought Wally back. I would not have minded if they brought Wally back. It would not have been cheap. It would not have impacted the show in a worse form than it's already impacted itself. I
think it would have done so great
Wally.
justice.
It would have. It would have fun.
but you know, that's me loving it. That's me loving that Wally. That Wally was just such a good Wally West to me. He's just a great character. I'm sorry, he was my favorite one out of the whole team.
The cope was so strong that I believe 2 years ago I picked up Rebirth, which is the DC I guess new continuity that came out after New 52. And throughout all of New 52, which was 2011 to 2016, if I remember correctly, Wally West did not exist. Or rather, Wally West existed, but it wasn't the ginger fast hockey boy that we were used to. It was a different iteration of Wally West. And so now in Rebirth, Wally West comes back. He's just been stuck in the Speed Force this whole time, and he's running around trying to get people to remember him. And Flash remembers him, and Nightwing remembers him, and then he gets the team, and then he joins the team again, and then they're just called the Titans because there's already like a new team of Teen Titans, which is with Damian and like a bunch of new people. But I read all of Rebirth, like the original one, and then I read Titans, and in my mind I'm like, this is the good timeline. This is the one where Wally comes back and then everybody's together again. But it's not the same because the Young Justice gave such a unique spin to these characters that you can't pick up a comic book and just keep going. Yeah. I mean, it's not the same. It will not be the same Wally. It will not be the same Superboy. It will not even be the same Nightwing. And the relationships that they have with these characters, I mean, we're never going to get the reunion. I mean, fingers crossed, actually. Never say never. But so far, we haven't gotten the reunion between Wally and Artemis that I would love to see. And that's definitely not going to be there in the comics. But it's a nice little cope.
We got the fake union, the one we just lied to people about.
No.
I'm going to lie to Artemis, even though Artemis does know my abilities, and we're just going to tell her that I can make you talk to the dead. And don't worry, I'm going to bring my mind-controlling friend, who's a telepathic, who can make you see shit behind me.
That was a slap across Artemis's face and our face, but I feel so bad for Artemis.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then I want to talk to you guys about like the new season. I totally forgot about that when I was bringing up the whole Supergirl, all that whole thing. I want to see more of this Legion.
The Legion of Superheroes?
Yes.
I'm going to be honest.
I feel like they're going to...
Oh.
Say again?
Can somebody catch me up to speed real quick about the Legion?
The Legion of Superheroes is a team of
here since
superheroes that is... No, that's like in the future, man.
No, but I mean, like, when they were showing, like, the flashbacks of how long the Legion has been watching Superboy.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They've been there since day one.
It's a future Justice League, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
After, like in 30,000, or like, no, 3,000 and something. And, like, something that usually happens when it comes to the Legion of Superheroes and Supergirl is something happens that Supergirl gets transported into that future, and she ends up staying there and falls in love with Brainiac 14, who's the leader of the Legion of Superheroes.
They're the time travelers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That when I remember them when they were looking at Superboy and Miss Martian when they left at the beginning of the season. Yeah, okay.
It's something I don't care about, and you know, if there is a season 5, I'm pretty sure with the Legion of Superheroes and Supergirl, I already know what's going to happen. You know,
so watch them mess it up anyways.
Yeah.
At this route, if they're gonna mess up season 3 and 4, season 5, you might as well just keep sending it. Just
watch them call it Young Justice Legion, and it's the first episode has to do with the Legion of Superheroes and Supergirl. But then they do not revisit that again for another 15 episodes. And then there's like 3 episodes in the middle, 75% in to the season, where they kind of sort of have a half-baked arc. And then that's it.
I did have a question for you, Jared. The out of the 3, the shapeshifter is... I originally saw him as a forager.
Okay.
But I feel entirely wrong on his race, because I thought he was a forager, and then he shapeshifted, and I was like, I don't recall foragers being able to do this. Unless he's like evolved for, like, I don't know how to describe it. He was just a more futuristic forager who had more access to their abilities, and then he shapeshifted to 8 other things. So what race would this?
He's a descendant of the white Martian race.
White Martian race. Okay.
I forget the actual name.
Because I did notice that his body did resemblance the Martians, but he was a lot shorter and built.
After 1,000 years, evolution.
That's what it was. Evolution hit that strong.
Yeah, Chaz.
Humans been around for how many years, and we still relatively look like the same humans we did.
Yep. Supposedly we're taller than we were back then. No, yeah, I've read that the average height for an adult male back in the BCs was like around 5 feet. Like that was considered like an average height. Like you're tall there.
I thought
5 something, but
So I could have sworn I thought we would have been taller back then, because the whole this is gonna go way off topic from Young Justice, but like
just like the show, we're in the spirit.
The reason we was able to have dinosaurs is because the amount of oxygen that was in the air, we was allowed to have larger creatures more consistently. So like back in the BC, humans used to be a lot taller because there's more oxygen in the air. Like it was a whole little scientific thing I read up on that they found a way to make sense to me. But that's going to be any article that you read. Their job is to persuade you that this is that. So I always figured we would be slightly taller, not slightly smaller.
Look, whenever I play Assassin's Creed, everybody looks just about as tall as they are today, and we all know that is the most accurate representation of history, period. So I'm going to have to go ahead and say that we've neither shrunk nor grown.
But that would be one thing I wanted to see more of is the Legion, because I wanted to get to know the 3 characters that's been following us around for 18 years. Yeah, that's about it. I don't care for this whole new Darkseid team really too much. I'm offended. That our first showing of Supergirl is her being on teams with Darkseid. I disapprove. This man doesn't need a team. We all have seen Darkseid fight. Why does he need a team?
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about? I haven't seen the majority of the season, but I have seen some clips, and there was one where it looked like there was Talia Al Ghul holding what I'm assuming to be
Damien.
and then behind her there was a a young man with his face covered
in a red hood.
Yeah, I don't think he was wearing a hood, but he was definitely had red accents, right, on the mask. Do you guys think that was just a tease, or do you think if Young Justice goes forward, we'll be seeing more of Jason?
I would hope it's more of. All we got to see of him was a hologram. I want to see him. Period. Yeah, I think
maybe a third cameo.
That was the topic earlier, me and Jared. Wow, thank you for reminding me, Jared.
It's coming back full circle. Mauro.
So, Mauro, before you joined, I was venting because I was upset on how we was just like watching the show one day. You know, they was doing the show does its end credits where like a character would talk and say whatever closure they needed to say. That's what it sounded like every time. And I just remember out of nowhere seeing a hologram of Robin, and I was like, wait. I don't remember watching Robin die. But
season 2, there's a scene with Jaime Reyes talking to Bart Allen about how he didn't have a mentor, how everybody else has a mentor, and he didn't have his. And you get a small clip. It's one scene while he's talking, not even the focus of the scene, of Tim Drake looking up at a hologram of Jason Todd, and they're in that room like the deceased heroes and stuff like that. And that's it. That's all we get. Again, he died sometime in the 5-year time gap. But I feel like that was also a very big missed opportunity. They could have introduced Jason Todd as Robin, and some season between these 5 years, you know, like you could have had a season 2 with Dick already being Nightwing, and then, you know, the Jason is the new Robin, and then he dies. And that's a very good way to naturally explore more mature themes without having to shoehorn weird outside Martian and New God politics into a show that was originally supposed to be about a team of young people, young heroes growing into their shoes.
Yeah, I was telling Chaz before we started recording that there isn't like hardly any animated stuff with a Jason Todd as Robin. Like, I'm pretty sure just The Killing Joke, the Death in the Family is like the only thing like that animated movie, and that's it.
Yeah,
you know.
But even then, it's all about The Killing Joke. It's all about him dealing with because it's a couple of different timelines, right? The Killing Joke movie. Isn't that the one? No, not The Killing Joke movie. The Death in the Family. Isn't that the one where it's like a choose your own adventure where sometimes Batman dies and then like Robin has to deal with it or something like that? Or am I thinking of something else? I don't remember. Well, The Killing Joke, the movie with Red Hood, that it had him as Robin for the beginning with Joker killing him, but then a couple of years ago there this other thing came out which was like a timeline. It essentially, if you look up Dick Grayson drinking boba on YouTube, it'll show this clip where it's part of the movie is what if Jason survived? What if Batman died instead? And then it has like Jason in the Batcave, and then different people coming in trying to cheer him up. You know, Nightwing shows up, the Flash comes up, Superman comes up, and then he becomes Red Hood anyways, or something. But now he's more about like getting revenge on Joker for killing Batman or something like that.
I'm pretty sure this is part of the new air quotes Crisis movie event.
Oh, could be.
That's
okay.
part 1, and part 2 should be released by the time this episode comes out. Which, by the way, Batman Beyond's Terry McGinnis is going to be there, and the voice actor for him is reprising his role. So I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, nice, pretty tight. But no. Back to bring it back to that. Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of, or I mean, I can't think of any animated appearances of Jason Todd as Robin.
Nope.
Like pre him dying,
like him being Robin. Yeah,
him being Robin. Yes, Young Justice could have remedied that. It could have shown us a happier, more upbeat Robin, Jason Todd, and then, you know, maybe he dies in season 2, doesn't show up again until a couple of seasons later as Red Hood. You know, that's also a way to make the universe feel connected without having to shoehorn a bunch of random lore dumps halfway through a season.
Yeah, if we can have like Superman-centered, villain-themed story arcs, we can have one for Batman. We can have one for like the other leaguers, you know. We had this whole things, multiple things with Atlantis, you know, and we could have something with the Mascara or, you know, whatever.
Absolutely. And hey, if you wanted to change it so that it's not so Batman centric and more team centric, you could have done the same thing that they did with Batgirl. Instead of it having the Killing Joke be the reason she's horrible now.
New version of it, yeah.
We got a new version that like interconnected with the current team members and stuff like that. You could have done the same thing for Jason. Maybe he could have died on a mission. You know, he could have been in a mission with the team. He could have died, and then you have the rest of the characters coping with the loss. These teenagers that are now growing right into their roles. You know, they deal with the very real threat of, hey, sometimes these missions are dangerous. Sometimes people will die.
Yep.
It could have given us a great reason as to why Nightwing changed from the person that he was in season 1, who he ends up becoming in season 2, instead of just, it happened off screen. He grew up. That's it. Come on.
This show has had a lot of potential in, the first half of the show, but it just overall came down to them doing too much and not having enough time, or not making use of their time to tell a good, cohesive story. Yeah. Any
Absolutely.
Final thoughts?
Sadly, I'm a DC fan over Marvel, respectively. They drop another season, I sadly will be there to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. Might not enjoy it. I will not be excited for it, but I'll watch it.
I have hope. I still have hope that they can bring it around. I just feel like I won't ever be truly happy until they bring Wally West back. And I know something tells me in my heart that they won't, but
you're officially unblocked now. I remember I blocked you.
Sorry.
Blocked you about an hour ago. You're unblocked now.
You haven't heard a single word I've said this entire podcast. I've just been blocked.
Nah, I'm muting you.
You just now.
Someone told me to
unmuted me. You unmuted me for a second, and then you just heard me talking about Wally. And he's like, "Nope, okay."
But I do agree with you on that. You may proceed.
No, just that was it. My final thoughts are that this is, I agree with Jared's take. This is a show that had a lot of potential, and sadly, they maybe had too much ambition and not enough, I guess, resources to see those ambitions really, really come to light. And in the end, the show suffered because they tried to do too much with too little, and then sometimes they did not enough with something that seems like they had an abundance of.
Mm-hmm.
You said they didn't have enough resources. What do you mean by that? Because they obviously have access to whatever.
Maybe within they can ask for things like, I want this character and I want that character and I want a bigger animation budget and I want more episodes and whatever. But maybe they don't have the scope to ask for, hey, maybe I want another show, or maybe I want a movie tying into these two shows or something like that. That's what I mean, because it's as it stands right now, like we've talked about before, it could have definitely benefited from an extended universe of shows and or movies, but it's just not the case. And even if they were to try to do that now, I feel like it's already too late.
Yes, definitely too late.
I'd say DC is very well known for having their multiverse of madness.
They do, no, which makes it's so weird. It's so weird. You're getting sued for that one, by the way. It's so weird that they didn't.
I'm sorry.
That they chose to not do that with Young Justice when all the pieces are there. All they had to do was maybe not do what they did. Maybe just focus on one show and make that show as good as you can with a central cast of characters and a central overarching story that each season kind of ties up neatly in a bow, but there's an even bigger overarching one that connects all the seasons. And if it's good enough, which it would have been, maybe Warner Brothers would have given them the green light for it's like, okay, you can have another show. Go make a show about Halo. Go make a show about the New Gods. Go make a show about the Legion of superheroes or whatever.
I say, respectively, I don't want a show based off Halo. I'm sorry.
It looks like they wanted a show based around Halo and Forager and Brion.
See, I can do Forager. I don't know why, but Fred Bug with two G's. I love just hearing him talk in general.
I didn't like Forager all that much.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I can do without the show about Halo. Personally, don't get me wrong, she was a great character. It's great that we found another character that's not Cyborg who has a box.
A relationship with a mother
box. And Cyborg has father box, or had father box, whatever you want to call it at this point, because I don't even know if father box is still a living organism within Cyborg. But yeah, I think that was a nice addition to the show, but we don't need a show based around her.
No.
Oh, what about you, Jared? What are your final thoughts?
I already said them. The show had potential.
Fine, end. It's over.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Podcast over.
The show had potential. It was great the first 2 seasons, in my opinion, and they overreached. They tried doing too much with the little bit of runway they had.
General consensus. I feel like a lot of the fans feel that way too.
Yeah, which is a shame because it's great concept. Like everything they're doing is great in theory on paper, but like in execution, they didn't do what they could have done. You know, like. Again, the potential is there. They could have done so much more with it. They could have done so better. Everything about the show just declines, like the art style, not the art style, I'm sorry, like the animation, the writing, the storytelling, the character development is just decline. And it's a shame.
I want to say a lot of that problem could be like the people they just have over the project.
Could be.
I feel like...
Yeah. Do they even have the same writers that they did in the first couple seasons?
No. Not entirely. I can look it up. I guarantee you it's not like...
For all of them, we had Brandon Vietti and Greg Wiseman. For season 3, we have Leanne Monroe.
Okay. That's weird, but
yeah.
Okay. All right, well...
Because I know like having like the people over the project does make a difference. Like I will always forever like use this as a great example because it was like the largest change, but the greatest like improvement DC has made was the Justice League cinematic film. Yeah. Where it was like somebody, apparently he knew of DC, but he wasn't like very knowledgeable on like how to portray the characters, unlike Zack Snyder was, when Zack Snyder says like he grew up off of DC, so he knew how to like to portray the characters, how to not rush the story. And so like if we just had more people who took their time, as Zack Snyder does with his, like when he does his films, as they do when they make the animated film. Or not the animated films, but like this Young Justice, they would have just took their time, thought out the process entirely. We wouldn't have all this extra stuff.
No, I agree. A unified vision. Well, instead they failed to stay whelmed.
All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Razzle Dazzle Show. Be sure to let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at RazDaz Show Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. Be sure to rate us 5 stars and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one.
Next time on The Razzle Dazzle Show.
And I'm more of the person that I'm like, I'm going to discover the sound of this game. I'm going to discover the kind of the coolness of the score that I'm doing as I do it, not before I've even put down a note. When I'm like, I just need to sit down and do, and from that, you'll start to see little flowers, start to bloom. And it's like, focus on those then. There's still a bunch of weeds, and starting out, you're like, I need to get rid of these weeds. Like, that piece I did is terrible. The first 10 minutes of music I did, it's kind of crappy. Let's get rid of that. And then focus on the good that came from that creative process. So it's messy. It's a little messy. But I found that for me, that just helps me. Doing the music helps me be inspired to create music.
Tune in next week